Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have Lauren LaRosa here, our special guest host. And we got a special guest in the building.
The legend.
Omar Epps. Welcome, brother.
What up? What up? It's good to be back. I'm loving the new digs.
Good to see you, my brother.
That's
Good
right.
to see you too.
Nubia the Reckoning, the sequel to Nubia the Awakening.
Yes.
Did you always have in your mind to do a series?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely from day one. Which you know, the response to the first book was great, and we had this in the tuck, so just cooking up.
What is Nubia the Reckoning about?
Nubia the Reckoning. So basically, the Nubia series is about, you know, it's a dystopian, futuristic sci-fi that follows these three Nubian teenagers in what's a new New York. It's 100 years from now. And basically, their powers start to sprout, and it's connected to their heritage, but they don't know that because they weren't told by their parents. So they, you know, adolescence is it was an awkward age for all of us. You're trying to figure stuff out, and then you throw that on their table, and in the reckoning, they realize what their abilities are, and then it's a discussion of what are they going to do with them. You know, are they going to use them for good or bad?
And I love that theme in the book because it made me think about, like, you know, when did you discover you had powers? Just you as a person.
That's a great question, and that's a really profound question, because this is something I've been telling people. Is just like, we use these words super power, but to me, I know from where I come from, I'm superhuman, because if you just put on a statistic sheet,
That's right.
okay, you're gonna be born here, go through this, or everything that I've achieved in life to me is superhuman, and that goes for whomever. It's not about celebrity. It's just about, you can have someone who was an addict, and they overcome that addiction, or have a female who goes through physical abuse and overcomes that. Things of that nature, to me, make us superhuman. So I have this saying, like, let's transform our traumas into superpowers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, for people that
When did you
don't know,
discover yours, though? And what was it?
I think I discovered mine pretty young, but then it changes, right? Like, when I was young, I thought I was going to be in the NFL, you know. Thought I was gonna play football, then I got hit real hard. I was a superhero then. They wrote about me in the Daily News. I was like, word, I'm lit. Then I got hit real hard. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pivot.
I think he got more powers than me.
Let's not do that.
I was like, oh, I can act like a football player. All right, and then I was rolling. But I think it evolves and it grows. Like, think about the you were, or both of y'all, before we became fathers.
Absolutely.
It's like two different, you know, people, and then you become a father, and now we at the age where we're like, oh, one day we're gonna be grandfathers. Like, what's that going? So I think our superpowers evolve as we do, and hopefully we collect them, right? Because we can always access that, and this is what we pass down to the younger generations. Yo, I've been there, done that. Might want to look at it this way, take it, mix it up. You freak it your way, but you know, and that's part of giving it back, as they say.
Now, for people that don't know, you up here before talking about it, where did this idea even come from?
It came from me. I had the idea for a long time, for about 15 years. And we live in such a tumultuous world, man. It just seems just so chaotic. And one day I was just thinking to myself, like, what if love itself was illegal? Like, what if it was illegal to love? And then what if love was reborn through this 13-year-old kid who doesn't know he's loved?
Wow.
So that's sort of the essence of what I was trying to capture. And then as I started to think more about it and unearth it, you know, it became this cast of these three teenagers. You know, I was picturing, we always think about these cataclysms and the world is changing. And I'm like, well, there's going to be life after that to some form. So what does that look like? Because for those kids, in 100 years from now, whatever's happening for that generation will be normal to them, because that'll be the only world they know, right? So they're dealing with it accordingly. And okay, so there's technology is going to be like past what we can fathom now. What does that look like? And then I think there will be a rudimentary element, because the basic necessities of human life is like food, clothes, and shelter. That's never gonna go away.
Right.
So there's always gonna be a, like, yeah, you're super high tech, but I'm over here analoging it and killing it. And so what happens when those worlds meet? And then what are the human themes that seem to transcend time? So though Nubia takes place in the future, a lot of the themes that we explore if you go 100 years prior to now and 100 years before that, you still were dealing with classism, racism, sexism, all of them isms. And so what I'm trying to do, part of what I'm trying to do with the book is leave a breadcrumb trail for the now generation to say, hey, we did it for a long time a certain way and we still keep getting the same results. So maybe you guys can flip that moving forward so that we can progress and get better.
What isms, like you talk a lot about the isms, what isms specifically in this book do you tackle?
Like I said, classism. I mean, we tackle even immigration to a point, definitely racism, sexism, because the Nubians are displaced people. Their island nation was destroyed, or so they think. Stay tuned. And so they're in a new, what I'm calling a new New York, and they are sort of the have-nots. And so the people who were here, and the color has nothing to do with it. They're just sort of native New Yorkers, I guess. You know, they feel a way about, well, who are these new people? And then as the powers start to sprout, they're like, who are these new kids and why do they have a seat at our table? You know, just how society seems to be, which is, it's always been perplexing to me because I look at life like this. If a rock big enough hits this planet, it ain't gonna matter if you got $1 million or $1. Everybody gonna be in the same boat.
I think about that when we on planes.
You see what I'm saying?
Who cares if you're in first class or whatever, the plane goes
Or if
down,
not.
it's a wrap.
But
It's
you still
just-
sit in first class though.
Sure.
Well, it's
But
free
if the-
drinks.
Yeah.
No.
But if the plane go down,
Delta.
everybody dying regardless of what class
And
you in.
legroom, honestly.
But
Yeah.
there's a lot of parallels to real life. Like when I'm listening to you talk, I'm like, wow. I remember thinking that, like gentrification, for instance, right? When people come into your neighborhood, you're like, yo, who are these people? And how did they just pull up with all this power and like whatever? How did you know what from real life you wanted to put in this specific book?
It's what felt natural to me. I didn't set out to write a Afrofuturistic young adult sci-fi book. I just
Really?
Because it's very
I
on
didn't
brand
even
for
know.
it is that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a genre. I'm not creative, so I just had an idea and I just started digging and writing. And so once it was coming to be, you know, as I got with the publisher and everything like that, they were like, "Oh, it's in this box," and I was like, "I didn't even know that was a thing."
Wow.
So to your question in terms of why tackle certain themes, it's what felt natural to me. I remember vividly being 12, 13, 14, 15, and the things that influenced me for better and for worse. You know what I mean? I think when you're at that age, a lot of what you are is you're a product of your environment and programming, right? So you're taught one thing at home, and then you in school for 8 hours, and then you're in the world. And you start to see the paradox of life, the contradictions of life, and then in those experiences you sort of discover who you are, right? So like for me, growing up, I was revolutionary. Like for those that remember the show Good Times, I was like Michael.
Militant midget.
Militant, you know what I mean?
Can't say little person.
Oh, you're right.
Little
Okay,
person.
militant
Little
person.
person.
We're
Right,
learning
right,
and
right.
unlearning.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You're right.
We're learning in real time.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Be patient.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
When do you have the time for this too? I know you. Like when do you have
Oh,
the
let him
time?
finish though. Use the militant midget.
Well, I was just saying
The
that to
militant
say-
little
the
person,
militant
man.
He said it, not me.
Yeah.
But just for me, it was just like I had a conviction on what I believed very young. So I wasn't easily persuaded or influenced by external forces other than what was at home, and the idea of being prideful about who I am and what I come from meant something to me at a really young age. And that's why throughout, hopefully, not just my life, but in my career, being in a career field that deals with fame and people see you, I was very acutely aware of how the images that I portray on screen can be ingested.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because when I was a kid, there was a difference between Good Times and The Cosby Show. Good Times was dope to me because their father was in the household, and you talking to a kid that was raised by his moms with no pops. So I saw that, but then it was always like, but he never gets the job.
Right.
So it was always you left like on a down tick. When Cosby Show came along, I was like,
They were up.
like she's a lawyer, he's a doctor.
Real.
They always got food on the table. They always laughing. Even when there's a lesson to be learned, they find a fun way that I was like, I want to do that when I started having kids. I want to, that's the model. And this is nothing against anyone in my family or extended family, but seeing that imagery every Thursday meant something to me.
Absolutely.
You know, and I didn't really realize it until I became a father and was building my own family, how much influence that had on me. But I knew a little nugget of, you know what, when I was young and you know, the movies were coming like every other day, I was saying no more than I was saying yes.
Wow.
Just because of what the script was, and you knew what it would
Exactly.
represent.
And it's nothing against those other people who may have taken those roles or been involved in those projects. I get it. We all trying to work at the end of the day. But I just took the long road, you know, like, I want to do things that I connect to, that can hopefully transcend time, but that hit, you know, that stick. It might not be the big shiny thing when it comes out, but it's just gonna stick. Like, you know, when you think about John Singleton and you think about what we worked on together, it's scary how many, if you revisit that project, if you see how many issues he was talking about in it, it's really scary at how many things correlate to exactly now. And this was back then. So it was going way over a lot of people's heads. You know what I mean? You talking about, obviously you're talking about the racism, but you're talking about mass shooting. You're talking about protecting women, you know, gender identity. Like, all of these things are in that.
And we still
like you said
dealing with
earlier,
it
none of those things
today.
change. Yeah.
And we still, and that's why I say it's scary. It's scary. You know what I mean? Like, but art has that ability. You know, a lot of people, you know, you always say, does art imitate life or life imitate art? I think the saying sort of is an oxymoron. It gives and take. It's both. You know, sometimes life inspires art, and sometimes art definitely can inspire your life. You know what I mean? That's why you can hear a song, or you can see a piece, or there's an art to food. You can eat a meal that will bring a tear to your eye because it brings you back to an immediate place.
That was yesterday.
You see what I'm saying?
Oxtails, yes.
There you go.
I was asking when do you have the time? Because between acting, between being a father and a husband, when do you have the time to sit down and write a book?
I will ask you the same question. Because what you do looks easy on the outside.
Right.
But you got way more kids than me.
And they coordinate outfits.
You know,
Y'all coordinate outfits. It's a lot.
This is our life.
Right.
This is our life. So we make the time. We design our life a certain way, and we make the time. Yeah, I got to be up here pretty early dealing with traffic and things of that nature. You have your endeavors. You have your endeavors. We are fortunate to do what we love to do.
That's right.
So when you have a life, and that's why I tell my kids all the time, don't get a job, build a career. You know, if you love what you do, the time won't even be a factor. It's 24 hours. It's more than enough time in every day to get it done. So you make the time. You know what I mean? So when I'm filming, you know, when I was filming the last show, I was writing the book. While they in between takes, I'm in my trailer writing.
You know, I love what you just said about the movies, because I think about it even with a series like this, because I saw you said you wish this book existed when you was a child.
Yeah.
I don't know when the series is going to end, but endings are very important, because I think a lot of times in this art, we talk about the problems, but we never talk about the solutions, and there never seems to be a happy ending. Whether it's Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, whatever it was, Juice, there's really no happy ending.
Well, I think maybe because they was trying to teach a certain lesson, a certain angle of the lesson, you know, and then that's making me think about certain songs where like, yeah, they're not showing the glamorous part. They're showing the other part. Like we used to see in the Rich and Poes and all of them and all of that fly stuff, but they're not showing you the heartache that comes along. And so I think things are necessary. With Nubia, I do have the ending, but it also is an entryway into film, television, animation, everything you could think of. I have story points that we want to hit. So it's essentially I've created my own universe that hopefully one day can be akin to like Marvel.
That's what pains me about the Nubia series, though, because I love science fiction, and I do feel like it needs to be a film or TV show. I don't know if Hollywood will ever make a real investment into sci-fi led by black people.
I'm not waiting on Hollywood.
Okay.
If I was waiting on Hollywood, the book would have never been written.
Absolutely.
So we gonna do what we do, which is find a way. You know, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but like, hey, we made a delicacy out of the scraps, meaning they threw us pig intestines and we made chili.
Yeah, he was talking about
she
chili.
loves chili.
And we made them so good.
I'm
They was
sitting
like,
here
hey,
I love
can
chili.
you make me a plate?
Word up.
This is what we do. So, you know, hopefully it is in my lifetime. I mean, this is what I'm doing it for. But you know, there's when I say there's more of us, I'm not talking about a color. I mean like-minded. There are more like-minded people than what we see portrayed in the news and in blogs and stuff like that. So when people put their money where their mouth is and really support one another, then it enables us to go to those next levels to where we don't have to be fully dependent on other systems.
Absolutely.
Now, the three main characters of the book, I don't want to say their names wrong, but
Uzochi, Lensho, and Zuberi.
Thank you. So they are of this first generation to discover these powers.
Yes.
When I read about that part of it, it made me think about like just being first generation, coming from certain like, you know, like I'm first generation college student or whatever, and you realize that you really can be put in a dark room and find the light, right? What is the message in this book to the first generation of anything, like the students, the kids, you know, I'm first generation to go to college, I'm first generation to buy a house. What message?
First generation millionaires.
Yeah, like what do they
First
take away
generation.
from this book?
I mean, there's a lot of things that take. I think the one of the main themes for me is the idea of unity. You know, the idea that, let me break it down, and I'm gonna answer your question a long way. You know, cats will spend $2,500 on a belt because it has a certain name on it. But if envy, like Shirt Kings or like Fubu and them back in the day, Supreme and them back in the day, they say, yo, the belt was $500. We like, from you?
Too much
nah.
for your brand.
Right.
I'm going to go spend triple over there. Same quality.
Right.
And then you elevate and you be like, oh, they make all of these bags and stuff in the same factories. Same materials, same everything. But because we're blinded by a name, which comes with a perception, we don't know how to stand for ours. Like, no, we have the spending dollars, so we're gonna spend here where it really matters. And as Killer Mike Salute always talks about, keeping the dollar circulating amongst us first before it goes out, right? So the theme of unity on every level. And the other thing I really want the young reader to take away is all the answers are already inside of you.
That's right.
I think we're born into this world in perfect harmony and in perfect balance. Like if we look at the creation, the world as we know it, everything that's alive is like an instrument, and it's this magnificent symphony, and everything plays a part, from an ant to an elephant to a tree. Everything plays a part. The only thing that seems to be playing out of tune is human beings. We're the ones playing out of tune, playing the wrong notes. So I say that to say that the answers are already inside, right? They already are permeating through you physiologically and spiritually. And part of the conundrum of life is to then, you sort of unlearn what is innately in you, product of environment, schooling, all of these things. And then you spend your latter life unlearning that to get back to the source. So I imagine a world where right now college is a 4-year process. What if one day college is a year process?
Yeah.
What could that person do with that other 3 years in terms of being productive? And if you put a bunch of those type of people together, I mean, we still marveling over, I don't know, Twitter and Facebook. It's like, they ain't curing cancer though.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for real.
What happened? What do we do in a world where you could get like Tylenol, cancer, no matter what kind? Oh, just go to the pharmacy. That's $5. Ain't nothing.
Right.
Imagine how much more productive we could be as a species. Like the fact that we're in 2024 and people are still hung up on skin color. And again, I don't mean white, black. This is light skin, dark skin stuff. Oh, that's some light skin stuff. You know, me and Marlon deal with that all the time. Oh, you call it beige.
No, but he be in here.
It is some light skin stuff.
But it ain't his fault.
It's,
right.
No,
You're
and
right.
every time it
It's
happens,
what we was taught.
Yeah.
every time it happens, we give him grace.
That's not
We
fair.
give him
That's not
grace.
fair,
We
because
give him
if
grace.
Charlamagne does the same thing, and I say his complexion, they attack me. But he called me beige rage, beige bitch, beige everything under the sun.
It's because of your
And
behavior
it's funny.
matches that.
But if I say black anything to him,
Yeah, you can't do it.
see why? But I'm black.
But what
You are black.
Exactly. So what's the problem?
But this is what I'm talking about. The fact that
He's
we all
Dominican.
I'm not Dominican. Stop it. You
He
better
don't even
stop
claim
it.
He don't even claim
Stop
what he
it.
should claim.
Stop it.
Charlamagne, I gotta stop you there. You look more Dominican than he does.
Thank you.
You been to Washington Heights lately?
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Now,
What Omar said is so true, and it's amazing to me that most things that are man-made take you out of alignment.
Yep.
And I don't understand that.
I mean, it makes sense though, right? It does make sense.
Yeah.
That's why when people get caught up in this AI, I'm like, it's
God.
being made, so there's flaws in it. We just can't see it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing to trip over. You know what I mean? And it's about being in tune with who we are and who we're here to be, and what is our purpose. And our purpose is to spread love and spread positive energy. And you get to a point where we all are. We still have ambition. We still have drive, but we pushing. It's a hell of a thing to be pushing for yourself and then push for others. When you're pushing for others, now you're really serving your purpose. And it's a fulfillment that no dollar amount could fill. When just passing off the information or the knowledge to someone and then go and see them walk, run, and then fly, it's just a feeling that, to me, this is what life is about. One of the grand themes that life is about.
The older I get, the less I want.
Here you go.
You know, because the things that I actually want, money can't buy. They're not superficial
There
in
you
any
go.
way, shape, or form.
There you go.
I was going to ask, you know, with you having 3 kids, would you want your 3 kids to be in the industry, acting or music? Would you want them seeing what you've seen? Because you've seen behind the scenes. You pull the curtain back. So would you want them to do that?
I mean, I'm human, so I think whatever it is, I don't care if you a race car driver, mechanic, bus driver. Like, we all want our kids to do something other than what we
Be
did.
great.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Be great at that thing. But underneath it all, I just want them to follow their passion. You know, whatever brings them joy. If it's, you know, our youngest daughter, she's a singer-songwriter. That's her gift. But she's putting in the work for it. And that's the main thing. You know, nothing's going to come to you easy, but if you're putting in the work for it and that's your passion, I'm behind it.
See,
You know
it's good. It's good in situations like that because mom and dad have been there, so you can guide where maybe you didn't have that guidance because maybe your mom didn't know how to look at contracts and know what to look for. You know what I mean? So it's good that you're there. But it's just, you know, it's a difficult thing because you're like, damn, the stress that I went through dealing with this industry.
Yeah, but you know what? What you're saying is right in essence, but realistically, it's a totally different world. Because there's a completely different universe from selling a physical record to a stream and the business in between that.
Correct.
It's a whole different world. So it was like, yeah, your moms did that, but not like this.
Is she momager?
Huh?
Like, are you guys like managing?
Oh,
and,
momager,
like,
you said.
yeah, like, or
You act
guys...
like mom's not right here.
No, because he mentioned it. So
She's a heavy-handed advisor.
That's-
I wouldn't say momager.
Heavy-handed
Advisor.
Okay. All right, heard you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite method of storytelling? Is it TV, is it films, or is it books?
That's a great question. I mean, it depends on the story. You know, like when I was thinking of Nubia, I saw film, I saw television, I saw all these things, but I knew that's not the delivery system right now. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to crawl through this process. Crawl, and meaning a good thing. Like, there's just so much story. The depth of the story can only be done in book form in its initial phase. Once that's established to an audience and they're familiar with, oh yeah, that's the blah, 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 then we can take it other places. And so we're still in, this is phase 1, if you will. But other than that, I just love art, man. It doesn't matter. Like I said earlier, like, I think there's an art to cooking, there's an art to everything. There's an art to business. You know, it just depends on, you know, what you connect to and what makes you happy. And for me, the prime goal is like, I realize the weight of everything that I'm a part of is going to outlast me. So why am I really doing this? Who am I doing it with? Like, it's not just a self-fulfilling thing anymore. You know what I mean? Like, the greatest compliments to this day, the greatest compliments that I receive was when people come up to me and say something that I was in, you know, helped them through or inspired them to. I had a young doctor come up to me and was talking about a show that I was on, a medical show I was on, and they were just like, the portrayal of that character helped them through a tough time while they were in med school ready to give up. And to me, that was like getting a $1 million check, because I'm like, this is exactly what I do it for. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to pass on what was passed on to me.
Now, Omar got to go, guys. So
Yeah.
And you got to be out?
Yeah, dang, I had
Damn.
so much. Okay.
Well, never mind. I really did want to know how you wrap your mind around what's going on in 2098.
I mean, to me, it's simple. I think humans are gonna human. And then geographically, like, again, whatever happens in the next 20, 30 years, there's going to be a world after that. So that's creative license. Well, I see it kind of looking this. Sadly, if we take a cue from what happened with Sandy, the lower part of the city would be underwater. And then same rules apply. Where's all the money at now? Uptown. All right, let's ramp that up a little bit more. Humans have fused with technology. Let's, you get to take creative license, but the more things change, the more they stay the same, man. You know what I'm saying? Like in the hood, everybody want to talk about New World Order. No, it's one world order. That's the actual term. And that's been for thousands of years. There's always going to be a group of few that try to control the many. It ain't nothing new. There's no conspiracy. It's right there, dead in front of your face. It's just how you perceive it.
That's real.
You know what I mean? But there's something to perceive as well, is that the victory's already won. And whether the listeners, whether you a believer or not, I'm not, putting my beliefs on anyone. I'm a believer. And the victory's already won. The table of victory with the most beneficent is already set. So there's a part of us that we've gone through the motions. Choose your side, choose wisely, and live your life. And your character is determined by your actions, period. You know what I mean? So, hopefully when it's my time, my actions will be met by the eternal glory.
All praises due to God.
I just got one more. Does it ever bother you? Play so many iconic roles. Does it ever bother you when somebody calls you one of the names from the iconic roles? Like, I'm sure you walk down the hall. I'm sure Mack was like, Q. You know what I mean?
Oh, your man is.
Q.
Y'all got the right dude, because he was.
See?
I felt like I was getting ready to be Jamal Charlo fighting Canelo. Like, I'm ready.
Does that bother you?
I love it. No, don't. I'm not. It doesn't. That doesn't bother me at all.
They're gonna start doing it.
No. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm cool with that.
What bothers you?
When people call me like, "Yo, Makai," I'm like, that's my man's and all that, but I know we look alike. They say we all, but come on, bro.
It could be worse.
They even like,
they could have said Charlamagne.
They like, yo, Mike. I'm like, Mike Epps.
That's correct. Oh, that's nuts.
Well, I'm like, come on, yo. Like, that's the
I can see Makai, but not Mike Epps.
Like, where is this happening? Like, you just
all
out and
over.
about?
It's just random. Like, sometimes I wonder if people are just. It's like if someone saw you and they're like, oh, I know. And
you got called Will I Am?
Somebody
I did get called Will I Am.
That was great.
Yeah.
Charlamagne
should
says
just start
he gets
answering
called
stuff.
Morris Chestnut, but nobody ever heard it.
Morris Chestnut said that. You know what's
Morris
interesting?
Chestnut said somebody called him
He said
Charlamagne.
on Jennifer Hudson, so he said he gets mistaken for me.
That's
what
a
he said.
goddamn lie.
He said that.
Do you see
Why
it?
you mad at God,
Tell me.
Omar?
Do you see it?
Mad at God engineering. I'm just going to design this. God had us on the same
Now why you mad
factory
at God?
line. Why are you upset about
it?
You saw the Dominican in him. Do you see it?
Knock it off.
He definitely. Y'all gotta take him up to Washington Heights.
I'm not taking
Omar
him
gotta go
nowhere.
now.
Yeah.
We
Ladies
did
and
have a
gentlemen.
debate about who the best Omar Epps character was. I think your best role is Jay Reed in Too Deep. I think that's a very slept on role.
That was dope.
How about I haven't done it yet?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. It's Omar Epps. We appreciate you for joining us, brother.
Yes.
Books out right now. Nubia, The Reckoning. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.